Hello, everybody. Let me let people know that I am live. Okay. Doo-doo-doo. Alrighty. Okay. So I've let people know that I'm live. I'm wondering what's going to be happening while I'm streaming. I'll tell you more about what's going on. in a second. I think I've let everybody know I'm live. I did that on Twitter. Did the thing on Knowledge Keepers and Hero Girl City. I'm not gonna do it on LA Draws because I'm not writing. I'm not drawing. I mostly do that for drawing streams. So you may notice that this is a different music than normal. I'll go into that in a second. Come on. Oop. Okay, there we go. Hello, everybody. So, tonight's going to be a grand adventure where we're going to be looking at some fun stuff. I don't know how much of it actually. That reminds me. Let me do. Let me. Okay, let me put something in the description. And I will just get this started. Okay, just 1 second. Something I should have put on there in the beginning. I'm putting a link to where you can find Prowlers and Paragons Ultimate Edition because I realized if I'm going to be talking about it, I should probably have a thing in the description to say, hey, this is where you can find it if you're interested. Because I think if you are interested, you should definitely support them and pick it up. Okay, there we go. Cool. Boop. All right. Okay, so let me go into what we've got going on today. So the music's a little bit different. I don't know how much you can hear. I'm using a different music, because normally I've been using Lo-Fi Girl or Medieval Lo-Fi. Now I'm using GameChops, which is another thing that takes video game music and makes new compositions that are based on existing and famous and popular soundtracks from video games. And a big bulk of what they release is intended to be used in videos and on streams. They're technically they would technically be considered copyright free. But it's like everything is copyrighted, but it's a type of copyright where it's allowed to be used on YouTube and Twitch and such. And it's an interesting grab bag. I was going to make a playlist of stuff from them, but like some of their stuff is free to be used on stream and others aren't, depending on like the licensing with the musicians they may or may not have worked on to and all of the stuff uh in order to make the music. So what I did was I'm currently have going on in the background their video game study lounge stream. I have a direct link to that stream, and that stream is safe to use on as background music for my stream and for other streams as well. They just ask that you uh, link back to their channel. Hey Tom, I haven't talked to you in forever. Got us all going with that moral dilemma. It's funny, I was typing things in about the moral dilemma as I was doing prep work for the stream. It was really funny. How was your weekend, Tom? What'd you get up to? You do anything special with the family or anything like that? Or do any, go to any cool events or anything? Prowlers and Paragons is a, your old Tom. Prowlers and Paragons is another TTRPG system. It's based around building superheroes. Imagine like D&D, except instead of picking classes, you pick all of the individual abilities and traits that your character has. All of the abilities, the ability scores, the powers, and the feats. Yeah, it works like Mutants and Masterminds. I forgot that you've done Mutants and Masterminds and you've done DC hero stuff, right? Yeah. I do not know if it is directly related to Mutants and Masterminds, but at least the Ultimate Edition is the only one I'm familiar with, and that came out not too long ago. And the naming convention just sounds like it's related, right? Let's see. Let me look at the copyright stuff on my PDF. Yeah. All right. And here we go. Iron Justice, nice. So the copyright for Prowlers and Paragons Ultimate Edition says that it's copyrighted as of like 2021. So like this came out very recently. And it simplifies a lot of the functioning, where basically every stat or power or thing is it's a pool of d6s, and you roll. Let me get to the description of it. So like the more powerful something is, the more d6s you roll, and I believe it's a thing where even numbers, there's like a threshold, and what is it? Hold on. Where's, oh, forget. This PDF frustrates me because it's like it's organized in like yeah, D6. Ba ba da ba da. I think it's Let me see here. I think it's a thing where you roll a d6, you roll a pool of d6s, and if you roll a 2, a 4, or a 6 on the d6, it counts as a success. And if you roll a 6, it counts as a bonus success. So you get, I think you get 2 successes on that, and then hold on, what is this? Glossary. Yeah. Standard build is 125 points, 12D trait cap, and basically you compare your number of successes with the threshold, and you subtract the threshold from your number of successes. If you have anything left over, then then that's your net successes, and based on your net successes, it determines what happens. It's built primarily around narrative control, where like if you have -2 or less net successes, then the GM or your opponent or whatever force you're opposing gets to decide what happens in the outcome. If it's -1 to 0 net successes, then the GM or your opponent in the role determines what happens, but you get to like put some kind of like an embellishment on it, as some little thing that works with you, that helps you. You get 1 to 2 net successes, then you get to determine what happens, but the other force, whether it be the GM, other player, whatever, gets to add some embellishments to it. And then 3 or 4 net successes, and you get absolute control over determining what the result is of the roll. They have an alternate way to view it, where it's like failure with something good, success but with complication, and then absolute success was another way they dealt with it. Here we go. 2 or 4 is 1 success, and 2 successes for every 6 roll. Okay. Yeah, there we go. I found it. So yeah, I'm learning it. It seems really simple. Unlike mutants and masterminds, it doesn't have arrays or alternate effects, which is one of the most complicated things for me about designing and building characters in mutants and masterminds. Because like once you start getting into like optimizing different variations and characters for different powers. Oh, sure thing, Tom. I'm just grateful you dropped by. I'm always glad to see you, Tom. Here we go. Yeah, embellishments are like some kind of detail or something. But yeah, it's based on this thing of narrative control. You're absolutely welcome, Tom. I don't know if Silva's gonna make it. He's probably busy with work. He always gets caught up with the craziness at his job. You've been here, Silva. You've been here. You've just been lurking in the background. Hey, Naberu, good to see you. So, I was just talking to Tom about it. what we're gonna be doing tonight, I think all of you might enjoy. We're gonna be working on brainstorming some ideas for different types of superheroes. I'm currently learning a new TTRPG system. Well, it's new to me. It came out, at least according to the copyright, it came out like 2021. Or at least that's when the printing was. I don't know. It's a PDF, so what have you. Um, and uh, it seems to have not fixed, but it seems to have addressed. Oh, the link. Okay, let me see. Oh, cool. Thank you, Tom. Let me pop this open. Okay. Cool. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Tom supplied me with an article on how to build characters, which that might be helpful once we get to that part. I'll probably put that on screen whenever we get to that part of when we get to that part of the stream. But first, I want to brainstorm some superhero OCs. OCs means original characters for anyone who doesn't know. Want to brainstorm some different superhero OCs, kinds of powers, different types of flaws, and descriptions and stuff like that. And also, let me know what y'all think of the new playlist we're using. So I've changed up the playlist a little bit this time. We're using something called Video Game Study Lounge from GameChops. Yes, unique powers is always fun, Nabiru. One thing I like about Prowlers and Paragons is that it seems like it is a lot simpler because I haven't seen any rules that allow for like combining powers. At least not yet. I don't know. Maybe I'll check that. Let me check. Well, I have the PDF. Let me see. All the stuff with the powers. Yeah, that's the thing. So Mutants and Masterminds has all of this like character customization, all of these resources, and all of these things for building characters. And I feel like Prowlers and Paragons addresses some of the concerns I have with Mutants and Masterminds. Namely, that trying to explain arrays to players gets a little bit too much, and designing characters, it gets really, really simple for arrays. So in Mutants and Mastermind, there's this mechanic called an array, which is where all of the powers have point values, and the more ranks you have in a power, the more powerful the power is, and the more points it costs. Right? You can modify that with flaws and what was the other thing? It was like something in flaws. No, flaws was what you have at the end. It was essentially pros and cons. Um, and uh, and there was this thing where if you have multiple powers that either draw from the same power source or are somehow thematically linked in such a way that you can't use them simultaneously, right? You can't have one active while another one is active. You can put them into one power and you only pay for the whichever one costs the most points. And then all the rest of them you only pay one for. Now that gets really complicated to explain to a new player. And then an experienced player can design a character that just optimizes that in order to get one really big, powerful power. And because yeah, and you get to optimize to build this one really powerful power that's really expensive. And then you have this whole list of alternate versions of that power that gives you this almost infinite amount of customizability for what you can do. And it just gets so cost efficient. And the characters end up with so many things, but the limitation is how the power level limits are applied in mutants and masterminds. And also the fact that in mutants and masterminds you have one action and one move. You have to like exhaust yourself in order to get another action in the turn. So that simplistic structure of one action and one move per turn means that it doesn't matter, like if you have different abilities that are all one action, they all essentially become exclusive because you can't activate more than one power in a turn anyway if they all take an action. So then it just becomes you have all your attacks on one array, you have all your movement powers on another array, and it makes building characters get really complicated, especially at higher levels. And I understand why they did it. I understand why that's important for that game. I just don't super like it, and I'm really relieved that I haven't found anything yet that describes that or any phenomenon like that in Prowlers and Paragons, and none of the characters I've seen in Prowlers and Paragons seem to use it. So there's that, and then the other thing that Prowlers and Paragons does is Prowlers and Paragons actually has health. So in Mutants and Masterminds, you don't have a health stat. You don't have HP. In Mutants and Masterminds, you make, whenever someone hits you with an attack, that you take a toughness check, and you have to fail a toughness check by a certain amount in order to be knocked unconscious. And it is, if your toughness check is not low enough, then, or if your toughness check is not low enough, if you roll high enough, you can either shrug it off and do nothing, or it can do minimal damage and do one injury. And each injury means you take a -1 to future toughness checks. Yes. That's also true, Nabiru. Isn't there somebody in JoJo who's got like a special hand or something? And like the whole thing with that character is the writer gave that character the most OP stand power, but the person who uses it is not very smart, so that way he's never using it to its fullest potential. Why, Nabiru? Why? Why would you nuke a field in order to kill a slime? All right. It's going on 9 o'clock, so let's get to the designing. Because he's cautious. That's not cautious. That's overkill. That's extreme overkill, Nabiru. Okay. Let's go to... What screen am I going to use for this tonight? How would you even make it that far, Nabiru? How would you even make it that far through an anime that's not fun for you? Like, when I watch an anime, if I'm not getting drawn in by the anime, it better have some epic character designs. Speaking of great anime, have you been keeping up with Witch from Mercury, Nabiru? Oh, you just watched reactions to it. It's silly, Nabiru. I used to do that with Ruby. Never watched Witch Mercury, but I know 90% of it. Yeah, yeah, that's fair. I'm sure that certain person loves to share memes with you, which has got to be bizarre if you don't know what they're about. There are so many funny memes from Witch from Mercury. It is a wild ride, and it has had such great story writing. And it has, yes, the main character, Tanuki. Yes. It has had such great story writing, such powerful characters. And like I was reading this I was reading this thread the other day where someone was breaking down the latest episode and their thoughts on it and how they felt about it. Um, and one of the things that I keep seeing people talk about is how good of a female protagonist Suletta is. How like Suletta shows this like as a female protagonist in uh in a Yuri relationship, right? You know, in a lesbian relationship, well, not Yuri, but you know what I mean. They're not doing like they're. It's very much a teenage relationship with this like devotion to each other, like you're my all, you're my everything. But Suletta is showing all of this great story writing. Uh And a lot of people, I've heard some people say that they are wondering if we're ever going to get another female protagonist this good. And I'm like, I hope like we keep seeing, I hope things move forward and we keep seeing other good female protagonists, because it's true, we don't have a whole lot of really great female protagonists. Um and uh it's it's interesting seeing different people's opinions of the show and seeing people get invested in the show that wouldn't normally get invested in a Gundam series, and seeing how what they bring to the fandom, right? I saw someone talking about Wish from Mercury, and they were talking about how Witch from Mercury apparently borrows a bunch of stuff from this other show, something Utena or something. A lot of the story elements, themes, and character designs or something get borrowed from that. And apparently that's like, I guess, like a magical girl or idol or some kind of magical thing. Um, and someone was saying it would have been more interesting to them if Gundam had just kept pulling from that show, and instead of having this war between corporations, had it be a war between magical forces or magical schools or something. Um, instead of corporations, and really just lean into the magical girl side of it. And I'm like, that's interesting. I don't feel like that's Gundam though. But one of the great things about a fictional show and series is that it can be whatever it needs to be. It can be whatever the fandom needs it to be. And if this is a success, which I think it is, I think it's going to be, I think this is a really successful show. Um, yeah, I think this is a really successful show. And um, I think it's going to lead to, it's going to show on paper, be something that can be referenced in the future and say, hey, female-led shows can be profitable, can be successful, and hopefully we'll see more female protagonists. Maybe more from Gundam. Maybe that becomes what Gundam is known for: strong female protagonists that are written really well. I'd be down for that. Um, Maybe they go some kind of Aura Battle or Dunbine, and we get one season where like the Gundams are used by some kind of magic, but it's like D&D magic, where it's just science, but it's science that doesn't follow all the same rules as regular science. It still has limitations and restrictions and political drama. I feel like if it ever goes that far, a big core of the fandom is just going to be like, "What?" But at the same time, right? Some of the stuff is just so thinly veiled pseudoscience that it might as well be magic. You know what I mean? Like in G Gundam, you had Gundams that literally converted emotions into power, into weaponized power. Um, in We're not talking bad about the Tanuki, Silva. I was talking about how the Tanuki is such a very well written female protagonist, and how hopefully, if this show is as successful as we all hope it is, that it will lead to more well written, well fleshed out, and well designed female protagonists in the future. Because there's not a whole lot of those. Well, Then again, it probably could just be there's not a whole lot of those in the mecha genre because in the I need to speak on. I need to make sure I'm only speaking on things that I have experienced. Um, and I most of what I've watched is the mecha genre. I'm sure like magical girls have probably had powerful and well-written female protagonists for a long time. So I guess I have to like curb my words a little bit there. Uh, all right. All right. So the only thing I see. Ooh, let me switch over screens, Nabiru, and get over to the writing screen where I have the notepad out so I can start jotting down ideas before you start giving me ideas. Okay, Nabiru? Oh, that's the that. Okay. Okay. All right, Nabiru. Let's get to this. It is about the time when I should be getting to this anyway. Fire away, Nabiru. What are some cool power ideas that you think could be very interesting to see in an OC? Like, obviously, I'm gonna want some kind of comment writer. Also, is the music still playing? Yeah, music's still playing. Nabaru, can you hear the music? Okay. All right, good. New headphones, nice. Flex folding. Let's see what we got. What is flex folding? What is flex folding, Nabiru? Based on how old Japanese swords would be folded countless times to create a perfect sword, so imagine if you could fold any non-living material together to create powerful weapons, armor. You pick and choose benefits and negatives from your new creation based on what it's folded together. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Then you turn anything into your armor, turn anything into your mech, turn anything into your weapons. That's interesting. Okay. Going to be able to do more complicated objects. Okay. That's what I think would it would say. So I would think that would be like a create power of some kind. Does this game have a create power? Okay. Here we go. There is a constructs. Okay. That's one idea. Okay. Well, I'm up for concepts. I'm definitely up for concepts. I'm always willing to hear whatever concepts you've got tinkering around. Ah. Intention inversion sounds like a mind control power. For example, electricity. Intention is to fry, stuns, and or slow down reaction speed. Inverting it, it heals burns, enable a faster temperamental state. Physical reaction speed while the intention of fire is to burn. Invert. Oh, that would be interesting. Okay, that would be interesting. Uh, not all inversion intentions are physical at all. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. So with that kind of like inversion power, um, it it would be interesting because it's kind of like a philosophical power, and I would really question how much control the user would have of it, right? Hmm. Like if you think the point of uh like if someone sets up a fire and you think the point of the fire is to like burning down a building, right? And you activate inversion control thinking it's going to unburn the building, right? What if the person is setting up the fire in order to like use the smoke to cover for their escape, and then all of a sudden, instead of undoing the fire's still there, just you can see through the fire now. You know, you see what I mean? Like, would the powers know what the true intentions are in order to invert them? Ugh. All right. So that's somewhere to start. We got intention inversion, flex folding. Sorry, I got distracted. I was reading through a bunch of the powers. So about Prowlers and Paragons, I know most of the mechanics kind of. I just don't know all the different powers and how they all work. It's like a lot of the stuff is very intuitive, so it's very quick to pick up. Like I was talking to Okusen about it earlier, and they said that like um Prowlers and Paragons feels like a game that you could just pick up. You could just show to people, get at least the Ultimate Edition. I don't know about the original, but like because I've never read the original, so I can't speak on it. Um, but I feel like you could just show it to someone and they could pick it up. You have to know the intentions, the actions, and the inversions of it, so it's hard on multiple targets. That's true. Oh, really? What's this one you based off of a Bleach character, Nabiru? Okay. Must have a super kick, super punch, and a motorcycle. Oh, God mode. I don't even know how I would begin to put that together, how I'd begin to put that power together. Um, it's been so much more fun if Kira could make things lighter too, or faster. Imagine speeding yourself up, then turning it into a 10-ton brick. Hmm. Well, I mean, I wouldn't want to turn into a brick because then how do I turn myself back? You said this was based on a Bleach character? I know, I'm being silly. Who is this Kira? Oh, he looks like a side character. It's really sad when like you see someone, you just look straight at them and and you're like, this looks like a side character. There's some cool art of him. His sword looks cool. Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like if he, um, eh, I feel like if all he can do is double the weight of something, if you're fighting a strong enough, like especially in Bleach where like they have the spirit pressure and all that other stuff, if you're fighting a strong enough foe, doubling their weight isn't going to do a whole lot to them. Double over and over, you gotta, I mean, yeah, I guess in a war of attrition, in a long drawn out battle, he could pull it out against some of the heavy hitters. I don't know. I never watched him in action. I haven't watched Bleach in forever. I used to watch Bleach a lot, but I just kind of fell off. Like I used to watch Bleach a lot, and I remember I used to like it was back when I was watching Naruto a lot, and like Naruto and Bleach were like the ones that I just kept watching. I would wait till the fan subs were available for download, and I would acquire them. I knew when they were going up for each episode. Yeah, I saw someone describe like one of their problems with Bleach, one of the things they didn't super like about Bleach, and I didn't entirely agree with it, but I can't entirely say that they're wrong. Um, it felt like in Bleach that the artist really was great at drawing and designing these like super intense, super epic fighting scenes, and like um it just kind of felt like in a lot of ways the plot was just there to set up the fight scenes or to get you from one fight scene to another. And that's not entirely something I agree with. Um I don't but I can see how someone might feel that way because they were definitely the high point and they were amazing fight scenes. bits and pieces of Yu Yu Hakusho. I never really got into it. It found me at a time when I wasn't that super involved in anime, and I didn't have a chance to like watch it too much. All right. They had one very interesting power, which I seen only used in there in One Piece. Oh, really? What's that power, Nabiru? Target. You touch something, and anything you launch will go towards them without fail, going around or through all objects on its way. That's interesting. Ah. Imagine that in a more fantasy setting, change it so you would push diseases, wounds out of someone and towards a target, push anything towards the target. Eh? That, see, like, the thing is, once you start getting into those philosophical powers that, like, kind of stretch things, like, those kind of, like, reality bending powers, it reminds me a lot of, like, Orihime from Bleach. And her whole thing where she doesn't heal people, she just denies the existence of there ever being an. I would say, like, if you were going to use the power like that, just to keep it from being bizarre and overpowered. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Let me work on a few powers. Let's see what we got here. Uh, okay. All right. I just read the thing. I was reading the thing. I should probably have it on screen if I'm going to be reading it. But Tom sent me this thing about how someone built a character and explaining how they built their character. Um, And uh, it's been really enlightening to see how they built their character. And like, because of how it all functions, like stuff is more expensive in some ways, like point wise. You end up investing points in more things. Um, so that's something. We'll see when we get there. Anyway, let me work on some powers. Let's see. I was said I wanted some kind of common rider, a hero with a suit of power armor that comes out of a belt. Must have a super kick, super punch, super leap, and motorcycle. Okay. Then I want a Star Hunter. This will be interesting. So I have to work on one based on my lore. I just have to. Let's see. So the cyber suit turns the desire to accomplish goals into power. So he's got a suit that amplifies his physical stats, summons light constructs, and allows him to fly. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about, Nabiru. Building some kind of a superhero, some kind of a common rider. I don't know how the mech is gonna work for this, but that's one. So light constructs, amplified physical stats, flying, and has a massive mech that he uses to amplify his power. Um, so there's that. Mech may or may not run on coffee. Possible, Nabiru. That's possible. What else? Let's see. Gotta do the Superman. Enhanced physical traits, flight, laser eyes. Actually, I think I find Superboy more compelling. Super leap, so we can't quite fly yet. Okay. Enhanced physical traits, super leap. Super senses. That's not bad. I'll give him a kryptonite weakness. Some kind of specific mineral weakness. Gotta have the super breath. The Star Hunter will be the one that I'm probably going to focus on building most because I kind of want to. Um okay. Living Construct just wants, so this one's going to be based on my D&D character. We're going to try making my D&D character in as a superhero. So it'll be a living construct that just wants to make the world better. He has magical powers. By artifact. Got magic beams. What powers do we want? Magic beams. Got the sword and shield. I guess I would just pick some spells, right? Yeah, I could just pick some spells. Well, he's also a paladin, so I would want some of the paladin. Healing. So magic beams from his Eldritch Blast. Got healing from his paladin form. I think that's enough. Sword and shield. Magic armor. He has magic armor, a magic sword, and a shield. Magic beams. Healing powers. Yeah, I'd say that represents him pretty well. Got the Eldritch Blast, got the healing. That would be interesting to make. Kind of a sword and sorcery. Everything's gonna have a magical reference. Sorry, I keep getting distracted because I'm like, I realize there's like moments of dead air, which I really don't want to have as a streamer. Where like I get distracted because I have this document open that Tom sent me, and I said I was gonna read it later in stream, but I just went super ADHD brain and I have it open, so I'm reading it, but it's not on screen, so none of you can see it. Which is not helpful and is not productive for stream. Okay, so let's think about some other superheroes. Well, can have some kind of swordsman. or it could have some kind of super soldier, some kind of Captain America type character. Except, so one of the character types I love to play in D&D is a soldier that realized that they could make more money and they could live a more productive life in the private sector, working as bodyguards for like wizards and stuff, delving into ancient dungeons. They could see more riches in 1 year of doing that than they could in an entire career in the military. And then you have this everyman who is now becoming legendary and learning to keep up with and interact with these people who can reshape reality and bring in this grounded, like kind of dad energy, kind of the source of common sense and the person who makes the logical decisions. So since this is kind of a superhero story, it would be kind of a modern day superhero. So probably a soldier who uses tech, so like gadgets and stuff. Not super. Someone who's just very human, using gadgets and weapons and tools. Okay. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So we've got a few things. This flex folding looks like it could be interesting. I'm not entirely sure about intention aversion. Parameter modifier has some possibility. Um. What else do I want? Could do because I love mech heroes. I love tech heroes of some kind, right? With their tech gear and their advanced weaponry. Oh well, no, I want to hear Nabiru. What's your armor concept? I'm always up for hearing other things. So another hero type that I love, another hero trope that I love to tinker with, right? In some of my stories and like my head canons and stuff is um a hero that happens upon a mech that's in the middle of being transported. In this case, it would be a power armor. And the transport gets attacked, and so hapless civilian gets dragged, gets sees the plane go down, goes to try help the person, help the pilot out. Pilot hands them the key to activate the mech, and in their dying breath says, "Protect this, keep it from being captured." And so they activate the thing, and it's a training machine, so it's got tutorials, and they just quickly read the tutorials in order to pilot the mech, and they're learning as they're going. And they're getting caught up in this larger drama of situations happening around them as they're trying to master and learn this new tech. I don't think Prowlers of Paragons has a lot of stuff for mechs. Um, eh, it would probably just be treated as power armor with the growth modifier. I like how they did growth in this, where um like it. Hold on, what was it? At rank 4, your weight rank equals your current growth. You can substitute your current girth rank. Yeah, you can substitute instead of the might. Um, so like in mutants and masterminds, when you took the growth power, it added to your might and to your constitution. I can't remember what they called it. Um, if they called it constitution. Whereas in Prowlers and Paragons, it instead replaces it. So that way you don't have things where like you might go over the limit. You take a 12D growth power, then when you activate the growth, you get that thing. Most fantasy concept I made was some chimera armor. You consume a substance, regardless how edible it was. Your body analyzes it and secretes a liquid that hardens to become armor of that. You know what that reminds me of? Did you ever watch Power Rangers SPD, Nabiru? Eat multiples, you simply make layers, so only one type per layer. You're not eating this stuff, so your body is safe. Okay. Did you ever see Power Rangers SPD, Nabiru? Uh, in that in that season, they had civilian powers. Yes, Cat Manx, Cat Ranger. Um, they had civilian powers, and the Pink Ranger had a power that she could like touch a material, and she could transform part of her body into that material. I remember because she like grabbed like some a diamond or something. I remember that. Am I crazy or is that was that a thing? Hmm. Yeah, molecular alterations. Sydney has the power to transform her molecular structure to structure of anything she touches, like gold or diamond, giving her physical properties and strengths of the object she touches. Yes. Okay. So I'm not crazy. That was a thing. Okay. Based on a Marvel character. Wasn't there a Hulk villain that could do that? Wasn't there a Hulk villain? Or am I wasn't there a villain in like one of the first Hulk movies that like could like make himself out of anything that he touched? I don't remember if he ate it, but I think he like touched it. Superhero named Husk. She sheds skin to reveal a new layer beneath. It could even be molten lava or fire. Oh, interesting. So we're gonna put a pin in the summoning the massive mech for the Star Hunter because even though that's a big thing, um, I could just take it as a growth power. As a growth power with the item modifier. Intentionally build my powers so that way they're not up to 12 and then uh yeah, I could do that. I think that can work. I can only use the growth power if I have the space to summon the mech. My idea was similar, but instead of shedding skin, you secrete liquid that hardens to become that. So debatable if elemental or non-tangible is capable. Yeah, that's interesting. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, it is a very fantasy idea. Um, that reminds me of another kind of fantasy superhero-ish idea I had ages ago. When I was a kid, I had like a headcanon fan fiction idea uh for a kind of like fantasy superhero, right? Who was a person that like woke up with no memories, and then like whenever he was in danger, he transformed into this divine golem, into glowing this massive glowing crystalline golem with like divine fire and lights running through his body. So it was like just real big. I got the Pokemon music. But then like so he was super powerful when he went into his golem form, but everyone was scared of him. So he had to figure out, because this was like in a medieval fantasy setting, right? So golems were a thing, but like he turns into this big powerful divine golem, and he has to figure out why he can turn into the golem, who he is, how he got to be the way he is. And then there's this question that now that I'm thinking about, I think there would be this question running through of like, which one of them is the real one? Is it a golem that turns into a human, or a human that turns into a golem? And that question of reality. But I like your idea, Nabiru. I like your idea of like eating things. I'm gonna put that down here. This is kind of my list of Nabiru ideas. Which that is an interesting weakness. Imagine creating metal, then you got superheater. And then beneath it, you get burned unless you made a cooling layer. Yeah. And I imagine, so like it's actually really funny. Do you read My Hero Academia or follow the anime at all, Nabiru? So I don't know if it was introduced yet. One of the big three at um at UA is called Sun Eater. He's like the one who's super shy and quiet, but like he's really powerful. And he has a similar power where if he eats something, he gains the trait of that thing and can activate like transforming part of his body into some super powered thing that has a power based on whatever he ate. Like if he eats a piece of octopus, he could turn one of his arms into like an octopus tentacle that can reach out and he could smack people with it. Um, and so as part of his hero costume, he has this special like fanny pack little pouch thing with little bites of a lot of different and useful and commonly used. Yeah, he turned into Cool Chimera by mixing his food. Uh and I've seen where he has like this fanny pack that would keep all of these different materials. So that way he could just pop one in his mouth if he needed a power in the field. So it wasn't completely random. And I imagine a hero with this eating armor would probably do something like that. Have a little fanny pack with little tiny chunks of metal that he would just pop in his mouth and swallow in order to gain the power. Midnight is the R-rated hero, but I feel like he should be since Octopus. All right, Nabaru, you can stop being yabai. Extremely powerful. Eating something to gain power is quite fun, but semi-common power. Yet every version is different. Doesn't know if he's a golem that turns into a human or a human that turns into a golem. Dun dun dun. That's just going to be a growth power, which I think is going to be great. All right, so we're up to 10 o'clock. Let me save what I've got so far. There's an armor power I recently read, but it's not that interesting. Level drain. The main character's armor that whenever he defeats, he steals levels from, thus making himself stronger. I guess that's interesting. In a fantasy world that has like levels and like power levels and is like gamified like that, I could see that. Give me 1 second. My headset was getting turned around, so I had to take it off and twist it around because I can't twist my head around with it. Okay. So, which one do we want to do? If he gets the last attack on a level 200 monster, gains 200 levels. He has a skill that lowers his level to 1 to drop the enemy level by how many levels he lost. I guess that's another one of those philosophical powers That's another one of those philosophical powers. When I say philosophical, I mean like a power that affects things like not through like uh any connection. You're affecting an idea or you're affecting an enemy through some kind of like supernatural connection uh to some kind of seemingly arbitrary philosophical concept. Um and I'm not a s- I get that. I get that concept, right? Uh I get that concept and like in a gamified setting where everything is where the characters know that it's a game, right? Um that can very much be a thing. You weaken your I'm not even sure how that would work. So let's make the Star Hunter first. I'm gonna make this in a notepad file because let me show you something. This is the book. This is the character sheet, right? And there's not really any place to like easily keep track of like how much stuff is. Um, like how many points you're spending on things. So like it's not super great for character building. I'd probably fill this in after I have the rest of the character built, and I'd probably use this for keeping track of things. Um, but it's just not quite what I'm looking for. Okay. All right. We're gonna go with the Star Hunter first. All right. Just because I think that might be one of the most complicated ones. Then we'll probably work on drone. We have time to do a second one. All right. So got a cyber suit that amplifies physical stats. Summon light constructs uh, that he fights with, and he can fly. He fights with the power of starlight. Okay. So we are going to build this character. We're gonna build this character as. Oh, here we go. We're gonna build this character standard. 125 hero points, 12 dice is the trade cap. Okay. All right. So, so now we want to look at his traits, his his base abilities. Which I want to look at. Let me show you what I'm looking at here. So in Mutants and Masterminds, it's not really worth it to invest in ability scores a lot of the time, because all of the derived stats you can make out of ability scores that you would use ability scores for, you can purchase for cheaper. And in order to encourage people to actually build ability scores into their characters, they made this where you can get these starting packages that start you at a certain point. But it's a little bit cheaper than if you bought them all individually. Like the superhero package would be like 52 points if you bought them all separately, but it's 50 points if you for getting it at the package. The hero package, 3 times 6 is 18, 2 times 12 is 24. That'd be 42. Yeah, that's 24, 18. Yeah, the sneaky gotcha bargains. 42. Are they all just too lower, just saving 2 points? That's funny. Civilian package is 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 12 is 24. 12 and 24 is 36. The civilian package only saves you 1. That's funny. Okay. So I gotta look at like what package starting so you want to get starting abilities. Yeah, the sneaky gotcha bargains. You deal with that a lot in these kinds of games, these kind of point buy games. So let's go with, I guess I'll go with the superhero package. Well, no, he's not a superhero. He is here. Well, when he's not in his suit, he's still this character is just a civilian. So we'll go with the civilian package. And we're building a generic Star Hunter, not one specific to me, but just a member of the Star Hunters. And we might save a couple points for like some kind of other character design. But let's go with that. So we're starting with the civilian package. Just base abilities 35. Okay. So let me write this. Black might. Okay. Agility, intellect, might, perception, toughness, willpower. Okay. And then the other ones are the talents. Covert. Okay. Survival. Would help if I spelled survival properly. Uh, vehicles. Okay. We've got that. Civilian package. So let me actually change over. Oh, good night, Silva. I hope you get some rest. Okay, so let's switch over to this. So this is a thing that goes through how to build certain characters, and it breaks down how they built the character. Um, when they were building like Green Lantern, they took the superhero package because he's a superhero, which I'm very tempted to just take the superhero package because this character is a superhero. Um, yeah, I think I'm gonna take the superhero package just because uh it suits the character better. And then just built the powers one at a time. So yeah, probably build that a bit at a time. I think I'll represent like the desire to succeed as willpower. So this is it's a very similar power to a Green Lantern. Ah, ah. I just burped, and I don't know if this is some weird version. Oh, I don't know if it's some weird version of acid reflux, but like it tastes like some kind of acid or something from my dinner came up, and instead of coming up like up bubbling up to my mouth, it bubbled up to my nose and was burning my nostril. Ah, okay. Oh, all right. So looking at how they built the stats and then they built the construct power, gave it the item con. I'm not sure if take a look at the item con. Let's take a look. Let's take a look how applicable that is. Oh yeah, first I'm going to grab the superhero package because This is gonna be a larger than life superhero. So yeah, this is him in his superheroing. Okay. I realize 3 is the sad face, so I keep making the sad face as I'm doing this. That's so funny. I was changing all of the I was changing all the superhero package stuff uh from that to that. Let me show you what I was just doing. I was changing all the 2s to 3s for the superhero package. Then I'm gonna gonna give him more willpower. No, not 6. I'm gonna say plus 9 die, going up to 12. So that is 9 hero points. That makes willpower 12. Because he has to have his determination. Okay. Now let's go to oh yeah, sources default rank toughness and willpower. I'll have to keep track of that because his is technically tech. So his default rank for things. Oh, whoop, whoopsies. All right. So any power that doesn't have a rank uses the default rank based on the source. Okay. 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 Ba ba da ba da. Proficient in just about everything. That's fine. That's not what I wanted. Let me see. Here we go. Pros and cons. Area of effect, effect inanimate. Okay. Armor piercing. Penetrates body armor. Characters wearing mundane armor have their passive. Okay. Active defenses are unaffected by this pro. No power can have this pro and the weak con. Okay. For 2 pages, so over 2 turns before you can use it. Okay. Okay. Carrier attack. Oh, so there is a way to combine things, but it costs 6 power points. Costs 6 hero points. Best real world example of this is a poison weapon. When a power inflicts 1 point of damage on 1 page worth of a special effect, you can immediately make a second attack roll against the same target using the carrier attack. Targets can only use passive defenses against the carrier attack. Carrier attacks are expensive. You must buy this pro, and you must buy the power that will serve as the carrier attack. Carriers can't be used independently. If you want to use a carrier attack by itself, you must buy a second version of the carrier power. Okay. Okay. Pages, delay, costly, huh? Power is less effective, potent, or effective than usual. This is -1 con if the power is somewhat limited, -2 if it's significantly limited, or -4 con if it's severely limited. This con is a catch-all when nothing else seems appropriate. Okay. There we go. Con -1 hero point. Oh, they don't do hero points per rank. They just do flat amounts. Oh my gosh. That is such a good design. Because with mutants and masterminds, a lot of times the cons, the whatever flaws or what have you, um, would uh like do minus per rank, and it got to be some really complicated math when it would just modify the rank number. But if this is just flat numbers, hold on, let me. All those descriptions generally for the powers more can apply to pros. Okay. Okay, so these are just flat hero points. I don't see any ones that are per rank. That's so good. Item is -1 hero point. Power comes from an item you carry or wear. Objects implanted in your body are not considered items for these purposes. When you apply this con to a power, you must decide whether the item is mundane or breakable. Mundane items can be damaged or destroyed, but they can also be repaired or replaced without too much trouble. Unbreakable items are almost impossible to damage or destroy, but they must be recovered if lost, stolen, or taken from you. You must also decide if others can use the item. There are advantages and disadvantages either way. When this con is applied to an ability or talent, its rank drops to 2D if the item is taken away or stops working. Ooh. But you are free to spend hero points to raise the trait's default rank above this 2D baseline. Oh, okay. But the fact that it's only a -1 is really good. It keeps it so in mutants and masterminds. There was this kind of thing I saw when I was reading a lot of the message boards when I was looking for stuff about building common riders or building power armor, and there was some people that were expressing that like uh instead of taking I think it was like the removable feature was what they said to do for armor, right? For power armor, which gave you like a quarter your power points back and made everything cost like 75%. It was no, I think it was like 80% or something. It gave you some ridiculous amount back, right? Um and so what some people expressed in some of these message boards was that it was kind of broken if you're never going to be caught without your armor, for you to be getting to just make all your powers come from your armor, uh, or just make all your powers come from a weapon, and then just never put yourself in a situation for the weapon to be taken or removed from you. Um, and it just becomes OP. In this instance, I think the only power that's going to be, uh, I think the only power that's going to be an item, is going to have the item con, is going to be the mech. The mech will be will be a growth power with the item con, and maybe another create power. So, yeah. Uh, uh, Give the mech its own create power that it could use. I think you can use create powers to attack. What do they call it? Not create. They call it something else. But yeah, I'm really glad that that's how that works. Uh blah blah blah. I'm not doing the vehicle thing for the mech because that's just gonna get complicated, and I'm looking to make this simple if I want to get this done uh before the end of the stream. Let's see. Okay. Let's go through this. All right, so the next power is going to be something to amplify physical stats. Um, coming from the cyber suit. Gonna take a flaw here that like everything is based on my own determination, and if my willpower starts to fail, like my powers start to fail. So that's innate. Uh, let's do F. There we go. Okay, cool. Sense, I think. Ba. What is summoning? How do they do with that in this game? You can animate, call, or summon minions to do your bidding. Your power rank determines how many minions you can summon per scene. As shown in the summoning table, you determine your minion's threat rank when you purchase this power. You can select any rank up to the game's trait cap -6, unless you can summon no more than 10 minions per scene. In which case, you can select any rank up to the rank trait cap -3. Power costs 1 hero point per rank for every 2D threat. Your minions round up as always. Your minions have 5 or 6. This power costs 3 hero points per rank. Okay. So the most you could have would be 12, and that's a lot of minions. Like if you maxed out that power for the summon power, you could summon 50 minions, but they're only minions. You can't summon heroes. That's so good. I know I keep comparing this to mutants and masterminds, and I'm not trying to dunk on mutants and masterminds. I want to make that very clear. Mutants and masterminds is a very comprehensive and powerful system that can and has been used for a variety of great and wonderful games and characters to be designed. I got very heavily invested mentally and emotionally in mutants and masterminds for a long time. I've bought a huge number of the source books for mutants and masterminds. I have them all in storage right now. So part of getting really invested in something exactly, Nabiru. But part of being really invested in something is that you you get how do I put this? Part of getting really invested in something is that you start to have certain things, these little things that started as being little quirks start to become more frustrating to you, and that doesn't necessarily make them bad things. They just make them things that are bad for you. And I acknowledge that my problems with mutants and masterminds are very largely my own and not problems with the system itself. So please, no one think that because I'm talking about and comparing this to mutants and masterminds and saying they do this and this is so good, I'm not trying to say that mutants and masterminds is a bad system. I think mutants and masterminds is a bit of an old system and it shows its age in some of its design, some of its design pieces. And I definitely, if I were to run another mutants and masterminds game, I would probably borrow a lot of concepts from this for my game and overhaul. I was in the process of working on a uh, a system to introduce HP to mutants and masterminds, because one of the most frustrating things about mutants and masterminds for me as a GM, I see it being frustrating for my players. Like it's not a thing that's directly frustrating for me because, like, you know, whatever, I'm not struggling with it. But for my players, is I see my players try to do all of this big bad creative stuff, and then the enemy just rolls well on their toughness check, and it's like they might as well have done nothing on the turn. And because of like dealing with power level limits and trying to balance between having a high enough rank and a bonus to be able to hit the target, to even hit the target, versus having high enough ranks for it to be even difficult for the enemy to take their toughness check, it turned a lot of fights into this really long slog fest that just was really frustrating. And I realized that because of how Prowlers and Paragons deals with damage, it's you roll your attack and the enemy rolls whatever their defense is, whatever their highest defense stat's going to be, right? And like they're rolling their defense stat, and like it can still add up to nothing. There's still a chance of it adding up to nothing. But because there's health and because you can just essentially chip them down a little bit at a time, you can do damage to their HP. There's a like, and because of how it works is if you hit, you are doing damage. There is not the situation where you hit and it does nothing. Um, unless there's armor and some other stuff and some other things with that, right? Uh, but yeah. Okay. Um, so I just wanted to clarify that. Uh, I don't know if I want to strike power. Shrinking. Oh, that's cool. They have the shrinking as a different power. Okay. Oh, that's cool. They actually add things to the shrinking. Okay. Okay. Oh, polymorph is its own power. Okay. Here we go. Omni power. What's this? You possess a versatile ability that you mimic other powers at this power's rank. Can mimic any number of powers per page, and you can switch between them in an instant, but each use of this power from the first on the same page lowers your effective Omni power by 1 for the rest of that page. For these purposes, a use is any action, movement, or challenge roll involving this power. Oh, mimicking. Let's look at this example. Pandora is using her 12D Omni power to fly over the city, mimicking flight. The demon she's hunting bursts out from the clouds above her, shrieking as it dives in her direction. So she blasts it with a bolt of arcane energy, mimicking blast. This is the second use of the Omni power in the same page. So she only rolls 11. She defeats the creature, but it wasn't alone. 2 lesser, da da da. Arcane shield, mimicking armor. Can only have 10 and 9 for her defense. Okay. So it keeps getting weaker. That is so uh the all right. Oh, okay. Can only be mimicked if your current Omni power rank okay. Yeah. It keeps things from being overpowered. Um and because you're mimicking single powers, um it makes things go a lot smoother. Yeah, this actually has the Pathfinder multi action penalty and has the 3 action system from Pathfinder. Okay. Babadabra costs 3. Broad Omni powers cost. Oh. Okay, so this is how they do arrays. You want to have a power that you can use in a variety of forms. Take an Omni power and give it some kind of a descriptor of powers, and then as you use it, it drains your from your pool of uses. So like if it's maxed out at 12, you've got 12 uses of it per scene, and each use gets weaker and weaker. Okay. Okay. That's really good, and I think that's a really good way to handle that, and it stops things from being really OP. Okay, I might use that Omni power for some of I'm very much debating using that Omni power for the Star Hunter, but here we go. You can generate light. Bob. And instead represent. Okay. Um. Me. Let me go to the front. Okay, we're not doing alternate form. You have armor or personal force field that repels damage. You can use this power as a passive defense against physical attacks and energy attacks, regardless of the type of damage they inflict. You are completely. Oh, so this is used as a passive defense and. Okay, so we're gonna take armor because I'm wearing armor. I mean, well, the Star Hunter is wearing armor. Let's take that. We're not going to give it any weaknesses, but we're going to take. All right, so 1 hero point per rank. I've gotten so caught up in building. Okay, so armor, I want to be up to 6 die. Armor starts at 1/2 willpower and 1/2 toughness. Toughness is 3 dice right now. You round up, so it's going to be 2. So it's going to be plus 4 die. So it's going to go up to 6 die total. And the reason why I'm doing that is because the toughness is going to grow with the armor, with the mech whenever I use the mech, and the mech's gonna bump me from 6 to 12. So that's gonna be. All right, what's my total right now? So we've got 50 plus 9 plus 4, 63. Okay. Alright, so we've got armor. I'm not giving it any cons, and I'm not giving it the item con because the description of the cyber armor is that it's skin tight and it's always worn underneath regular clothing. All right. No astral projection. Actually, I might bump it for instead of the 6 up to 8. Bumping it up to 8. Okay. All right. So looking at this, I don't know if I want to. I'm not going to say aura. No, not a banish. Gonna have to take blast. Probably gonna take so 1 hero point per rank. So I'm gonna take blast twice. There's gonna be one for the blast when I'm on foot and another for the blast when I'm in my mech. And I'll give that one the item con because it has to come from the mech. And because the mech, all the mech powers are gonna be there. This is what I mean about probably going a little bit too complicated for this. How is it almost 11 o'clock? This stream might go late. All right. Item gives it -1. All right, so that's 19. I've got my armor. Got my armor, got my blast. So there's this one here, boost, where I just where you talk about like how you activate this because it boosts your stats. That's not quite what I'm looking for. Constructs, that's what I'm looking for. Let me read this. I want you all to see what I'm reading right now. You can create and manipulate constructs of solid force. You can create simple geometric shapes of physical objects like airfoils, balls, bars, cages. Constructs have a structure equal to your power rank and can be as rigid or as flexible as you like. You can use them to grab, lift, or exert force with the effect of fight equals your construct rank. You have complete control of your constructs and can alter their size, shape, and rigidity as you desired. You can use this power to attack targets in any number of ways, such as creating constructs in the air above them and letting them drop, flinging them at your targets like projectiles, and so on. You can also defend yourself against physical and energy attacks by creating momentary shields and walls. Your constructs last for the rest of the scene until you dispel them or until they're destroyed. You can create and control multiple constructs at a time, but this lowers your effective rank by 1 die per extra construct, and you still suffer the usual multiple action penalties if you perform more than 1 action per page. Page is their thing for a turn, for a round. Okay. This is the bulk of the Star Hunter power, is being able to make the light constructs. This is the bulk of it. So, going to take .0 points. Okay. That's expensive. That actually, hold on, that gets me thinking about something. Let me go back to the flaws. Pros and cons, affect inanimate, area of effect. Build up has burnout. Not carrier attack, not charges. Only works under certain conditions in certain situations against certain targets after meeting certain requirements, etc. Considering how difficult it is to satisfy the conditions, this is if it often works, -2 if it occasionally works, or -4 if it rarely works. Uh-huh. That's not quite what I'm looking for. Oh. That's cool. Exclusive essentially makes things an array, but it does it in a way where you're still paying for things. Use item, only inanimate. I want to see if there's some kind of a thing for if you have a power that like you require extra ranks of, because I feel like paying for both powers separately just gets a little bit costly. Phase shift, ranged, readied. Where's variant? What is that? I want to see that. Is that... Did I just miss... Where is variant? There we go. Variant special. Oh, so they do have arrays. this power grants you a different version of another power you already have. Although you only spend 3 hero points to buy a variant power, it must be worth the same number of hero points as the original. For example, if you have Blast Ice for 8 dice, you could also have Blast Variant Fire. 10 dice charges 3. The 8D Blast costs 8 hero points, while Blast Variant is also worth 8 hero points because the charges. Cons, saves, the extra 2 hero points you would normally have to spend to buy the power at 10 dice. Can't have variants, alternate form, boost, drain, elemental control, nullify, omni power, power absorption, power mimicry, or any other power that affects other traits. Okay. Oh, so you can't have anything that lets you increase your stats. Okay. Okay, so they do have it. It's way more expensive. And you probably have to buy the variant at the same way. Okay. So, looking at variant, if I take a variant blast, right? It would have to cost 8 points. So I would have to short it 3 more points. It has the item. This is coming from the mech. So I would have to short it 3 more points to bring it down to 8. Could use it on build up, but that would take 3 turns to power it up. You must build up over 2 pages. So you have to spend 1 action essentially activating it. So you spend 1 turn activating it, and then you do it on later turns as well. Okay. So like I see how they did arrays. They did introduce it as a theme, but it's a lot more restricted. And a lot more costly. And I think because of how it's being so much more specific, I do very much enjoy that. Can make it conditional. The condition being that it can only be used in the mech. Could make it costly. No, I think I'm gonna do conditional to well, item and conditional are kind of like the condition. So if he loses the item, he can't summon the mech. So I don't know if conditional really fits there. This is what I wanted to avoid. This is exactly what I wanted to avoid with my building. but I don't see any other way to build this character this way, which is probably why I'm building it too much. Um, uh, give it item, connected to an item that he has to summon. Could just take costly, because that's -4. You have to spend a resolve every time I use that power. So then I only get in the mech when I absolutely need to. Yeah, that can work. Doesn't deal with the. How is it already 11 o'clock? The night has flown by, and I'm barely scratching the surface with this. No. Could do. There's so many things. There's so many things, chat. I'm gonna be working on this all night. I want you all to know that. Okay, so it's gonna have item. We're gonna say it's kind of uncontrolled, so we're gonna give it burnout. No, I don't want burnout. Item. Well, the condition is having the item, so that doesn't work. We'll do burnout. We'll do burnout. No, build up. And what else do I want here? Item, build up. I need one more point. And we'll say conditional. The condition is that you have to have the mech. Okay, so then it just costs 3. All right. So whenever I get in the mech, I have to charge up for 2 turns before I can start blasting. Okay. That works. We got constructs. Let's do the same thing with the constructs. 8 die. Which are 24. 12 dice, so I have to add up to 36. I don't even know how I'm going to drop that. That's 12 points. That's 12 points. You know what? I'm gonna improvise here. Because that just gets really silly. I'm not gonna use the variance. I'm just gonna do I'm just gonna call it additional ranks, where it's just paying for extra ranks, but I'm paying for them as two separate powers. Yes, Nabiru, it is the struggle that all character creators go through. Cool. Because actually, let me I think there was something for that. Uh buff. I'm gonna have a growth power. I have to get a flight power. Babada. This would be kind of like that one you were talking about the lowering your level to lower your enemy's level thing. Where was it? Boost. You can raise the rank of one specific ability, talent, or power. Pick one up to this power's rank. This power costs as many hero points per rank as the trait it's affected, and uses that trait as its baseline rank. Okay. Cons must be applied to this power. Okay, yes, I found it. There is a way to do it. Nabiru, I found it. So this is Boost Blast. Boost Blast. Con item. Bringing it down to 3 points. Okay. Okay. So that is adding 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Minus 1 is 11 hero points. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Outstanding. Now I'm not jumping through some weird hoops, making variants and alternate modes. So we have the constructs. We have the blast. Don't have, well, the enhanced strength is just going to come from the might. He's just going to punch with the, how many points is this so far? 50, 59, 65. Still got 65 plus 8 is 73, 76. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Plus 76 plus 35. 76. 5 makes 11. Yeah, I got like 19 points left to play with, and I haven't even taken any talents. Methinks this isn't gonna work, chat. I think I'm trying to do too many things. After all that, what do I have to show for it? A half-completed character. Let's look at growth. What's that leave me with? How much is growth? I think that's 1 point per rank. Okay. And flight. Don't have any of the things about being able to sustain myself in space. Gonna flight is 1 point. Three dice. So it's not superhumanly fast. A sprinter could probably outrun me. How fast does that make me? Okay. Got a blast. So everything is kind of built around the mech. I use the constructs for attacking. Let me see something. I want to see how fast 3 dice is. If there's a speed. No, that is no perks, no nothing. Let's see. Movement. Travel power. Oh, it's not fast enough for me to travel too fast. No superhuman speeds. But I can still fly. Constructs are expensive. But I can use constructs to attack with. So I can shoot beams. Whenever the explanation would be whenever I summon my mech, I'm essentially activating the growth power, which boosts the constructs and boosts the blast. Taking me up to full power. With the flaws. No talent. Let's build those flaws real quick. Of the realm. And what are boop, 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 boop. I'm so used to 5 being. Here we go. Flaws. Let's take a look at these real quick. This will be the last thing we look at tonight. Oh, abs. Let's see. I know these are just example ones, so I don't have to use them. Power limits. One or more powers on that you control, but instead of make the power less expensive, slots whenever. Okay. So I got power limit. It's called power limit. What else have we got? Alter ego, amnesia. No. Beast. Maybe clumsy. Uh, Maybe a secret. Probably unusual looks because of the suit. The suit being bonded with the skin. So unusual looks. I made up the Lost and Afraid just because uh from another uh blah, blah. Okay. I still think that that is like because you can just make up other ones. So yeah, make up my own. Yeah. Okay. It is already almost 11:30. We have made it through the night. We've made one-ish characters. I had to like research a bunch of stuff as we went. Um, he flies at a non-superhuman speed, but he can fly. Uh, what's funny is he's powered by the stars, but he still needs to breathe. Didn't have space for anything. Might drop the superhero package. There's so many things. I could drop down to the civilian package, increase the armor ranks, and that gives me another 15 points to play with. I'll tinker with that. I'll tinker with that. Anyway, let's wind down for the night. We have been doing character building. Let me save what I've got. Yeah, but I think if I give him the civilian package, it'll uh the it'll just make the willpower and armor each cost one more. Uh but it'll give me enough space that I can grab a couple other necessary pieces. Anyway. Ooh, that was a thing. That was a thing. Thank you for sitting through this, Nabiru and anyone else. I know this hasn't been the most interactive thing. We did get a bunch of ideas, but then I only really followed through on one of them. It was definitely exciting for me. It was very interesting. I learned that some of my assumptions did not exactly hold water. Um, a lot of the things I'd assumed about the game were wrong, and as I learned things, I learned how they did other things. I learned that arrays are technically a thing, except it's an actual power. We just take variant of a power. Um, but they're more expensive. They're very restricted. Um, yeah, yeah, that's definitely it, Nabiru. Like this is all new to me. Um, I like how I like how these things are implemented here. Um, in Mutants and Masterminds, if you get a variant power, it's called an array, and it only costs one power point. And it's just really easy to just get massive numbers of arrays of things, and then you just end up so versatile. Um, you could technically do that with Prowlers and Paragons. You could technically like nickel and dime it in order to make a super versatile character that can do everything. But I don't think that that would be uh, very like. I feel like that would be disingenuous to the game. And that's not exactly what we're looking for here, you know. Uh, and you'd run out of PowerPoints so fast. You start with less PowerPoints. Things cost different amounts. Um, some things are cheaper, some things are more expensive. A standard PL power level 10 character in Mutants and Mastermind starts with 150 PowerPoints. Um, this starts with 125, so you're starting with less points, but a lot of things are cheaper, some things are more expensive. Doing an array costs 3 points instead of 1. Um, and it's specifically explicitly stated that variant powers is just a variation of an existing power. It's not just powers that are mutually exclusive. That that specific thing I think is very important. That specific restriction is very important and removes one of my more frustrating things with Mutants and Masterminds. Um, but I mean, alternatively, you could have different. You could have a ranged and a close, like an up close and a ranged attack. You could play around with a lot of things. Anyway, we tinkered with some characters. We put together some ideas. Worked on building a character from the ground up. Didn't get super far. uh, did not get super far at all. Um, but that's okay. I was hoping we would get 2 done, but getting 1 pseudo done, like 75% done, is I think enough for me tonight. A lot of reading, a lot of working. And it's really funny because like I'm building this character, but like I have no prospects of games to play in using this character that I'm designing. Which is kind of frustrating. Not that I even know when or where I would put that in my schedule to even try to do. It would be a very interesting challenge to try doing that. I would have to drop one of my other games in order to make space for a Prowlers and Paragons game, and I don't know how I feel about that. Considering I'm like, I would have to drop something else that I'm doing. Like, or schedule it at a different time and then have two things in one day, which could work. It would just have to be earlier or it would have to be later. Like, I don't know. I guess I could make it work. But that's the same thing where I used to say, well, you know what? I can stream earlier in the day too. I kept saying that for months and months and months, and then I just never did. But with that said, let's wind down for the night. For those of you who don't know, I'd like to say nice things about, I like to say affirmations of positive, nice things about everyone who came to the stream. So to Tom, to Nabiru, to Silva, to anyone else who watched the stream and didn't say anything, to anyone who watches this VOD afterwards, I want to say that I love all of you and I believe in each and every one of you. I think that you are all wonderful, special, unique individuals that truly do make this world a better place just by being in it. I'm grateful every day to live in a world with you in it. Thank you for coming to my stream. Thank you for giving me your time, your energy, and your attention. Thank you for being a part of this community. Always remember the Star Hunter motto: shoot for the stars, have wonderful adventures, live your dreams, and always stop to enjoy the memes. If you have any friends, family, nemesis, neighbor, coworker, acquaintance, what have you, that you think might enjoy my content, feel free to show them my content or bring them to the next stream. Next stream is going to be Friday at 8:30 p.m. EST. If you want to keep up with what I'm doing on YouTube, you can subscribe and ding the notification bell to let you know whenever I go live or when I release any new content. If you want to keep up with what I'm doing outside of YouTube, you can follow me on Twitter or join my Discord. Links to both of those are down in the description below. With that said, always remember, you do not have to pay to be here. You do not have to donate to be welcome in this community. I am grateful for your time, your energy, and your attention. With that said, if you ever feel motivated to donate to improve the stream or to improve my life, there are links where you can do that down in the description below. I appreciate each and every one of you who has donated, who has helped out, who has helped get me to where I am right now. Each one of you is a precious, valuable treasure, whether you give money or not. But I do appreciate anything that you choose to donate and help. With that said, good night, everybody. Next stream is going to be Friday at 8:30 p.m. EST. And maybe we'll do a gaming. It's been like 3 weeks since I did a gaming stream. I think I'm overdue for one. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Good night.